Hi, Andrea Morisette Grazzini, CEO of WetheP. Today I want to talk about public narrative, or the story of you as a citizen. This is a really fun topic because, after all, it's about you. And it's very fun to understand who we are as a person in this place that we live, whether it's our nearby community, the culture, our country, or the world. And it's important to understand this and be intentional about reflecting on this, thinking it through, and using what we learn about ourselves in positive ways to impact the places that we live. So, first of all, I should give a nod to Marshall Gans, who, in my view, is the father of public narrative here in the US anyway. Marshall's at Harvard, and if you haven't read any of his work, it's very easy to take, and it really drives home how important each one of us is and our story is to this world that impacts us and that we can impact. So you might want to check him out. You also might want to check out our first video, which is on the topic of what is civic engagement. And that'll help orient you a little bit more to the topic itself, but also to WetheP's particular biases about civic engagement and who isn't qualified for civic engagement. In fact, we don't believe anybody isn't qualified. We believe that everyone is important as a civic agent, regardless of age, qualifications, views, place they live, what they do for a living, any of that. None of that so much matters. Those are just details to the story of you and what we know that each and every person can provide in terms of their citizenship in positive ways to impact their lives and the lives of us all. So, back to public narrative. I like to think of public narrative by orienting my thinking around 5 P's. Okay, the first one is past, the second is present, the third is passion, the fourth is purpose, and the fifth is predicament. So starting with your past. The past obviously is a big and important part of who you are. So who were you as a child? Where did you grow up? What was your family like? Who were your people? What were your natural tendencies as a child? What were you drawn to without even thinking of it as a child? What happened that really had a powerful impact on you and who you are today, both the positive and the negative? What did you aspire to when you were a child? How do you carry all of that with you into the place where you're at right now? Okay. Maybe even how your ancestors lived, or who they were and what they were about might be worth considering as well. The next P is present. It's funny how we can go through this life and often kind of forget what's going on around us. It's not that we're totally clueless, but we're busy. So take a moment and just reflect on where you're at, why you're at where you're at a little bit. Don't beat up on yourself at all. Just give this some thought. How'd you get to where you're at? What's going on around you in your neighborhood, in your city, in your work, in your school, in your family, in the world? How are you relating to that or not? Okay, so give that some thought. It sets you in time right now. The next one is the fun one, the easy one, the one we're always told to follow, and that's our passion. And it is really important to understand our passions. Now, most of us have an inkling, and yet some of us don't. So if you're wondering what your passion is, it's that thing that drives you without you having to do or think anything. It just happens. The topic comes up. Something crosses in front of you, in front of your view, and you're just immediately drawn to it, and you can't help but engage with it. Maybe it's a hobby that you've decided to engage with. Maybe it's just an interest that you read about. Maybe it's something that you can't help but be involved in. And passion can be both positive and negative, and it's really important to value both of those aspects of passions. I believe we probably each have a couple of each, if not more. Okay. Passion can be that which just makes our soul soar, makes us happy, makes us feel so good. It's the thing we get lost in. It's that good, and it feels that good and so natural to us. That's wonderful, and we should appreciate that and be aware of it. But it can also be the thing that drives us crazy, that makes us nuts, that we get so angry and so upset about that we've almost become obsessive about it. We're finding ourselves constantly commenting on our Facebook or in public places when the topic comes up. Those are important passions too. In fact, they may be even stronger. Those are the fuel of really important change that we ourselves can have in this world, in spite of what we think often. Sometimes those negative passions are the ones that we feel that we should suppress. Well, I don't think that works. I think it actually makes us feel worse, and I don't think it's a productive use of them. I think if we have something that's really bothering us, it's well worth us understanding that and perhaps addressing that in our way of seeing ourselves in this world. The next one is purpose. This one's more complicated. Purpose, like passion, is something that's sort of intrinsic or natural to us. It's just there. We kind of don't try to have it. Whether we like it or not, it's there. It may be something that someone has observed in us, a particular affinity or ability that we've got that might be of some great value to our work or the world around us. It also might be something that we're not aware of, that we haven't been told about, and yet we ourselves sense internally and don't quite know what to do with, but it's an internal value, and we believe that we need to do something about it. It's sort of a burning desire for us to do something about that. So it is maybe what the stuff of our legacy would be built on. Okay, purpose can also be something that we're reluctant to engage in. I would say, from a personal perspective, one of my purposes, I think, is definitely that. I'm a leader. It's not necessarily something that I've wanted to be ever. Without going into the backstory, it's something I've been called an awful lot, but I've been reluctant to engage with. But the fact is, I have those skills, and in thinking through my public narrative, it's been valuable for me to accept that purpose, whether I like it or not, and learn ways to appreciate it and apply it in positive ways in my public work. Okay. Predicament is probably the least sexy of all of these P's, because it has to do with what we're saddled with, what we're about, whether we like it or not, what our environment brings to us or not. It's maybe what place that we live in, maybe our family situation, maybe our health situation, or our age. Are we too young to do something that we'd like to do in our public work? Are we too old to get to the places that we'd like to go? Have we got a disability that maybe is negative in some ways, but also can be positive in the way that we engage with our communities? Predicament, again, can be both positive and negative. The challenge with predicament is reframing it in ways that we can apply it to our public work. And we shouldn't forget that predicament means things like our credentials, our skills and abilities, whether those are earned through school or education or vocational work, or just sort of natural predicaments that we find ourselves in. We've learned to do something because we've had to learn how to do that. And this one applies to some thinking and a theme of a colleague of mine by the name of William Doherty, who thinks of taking our vocation and thinking of it as citizen professionalism, meaning that what we do for our work is also what we can be doing as a citizen. We can take those very same abilities and skills and bring them pro bono or for free and volunteer into our work around us and culture and in our communities. And it's really can be exceedingly valuable to see ourselves that way and to apply those. So those 5 P's might be what you would call the outline for your public narrative. So then what do? You've thought through this, and by the way, I don't think that this is a limited exercise. I think it's something that wouldn't hurt to be ongoing for you. So then what do you do with it? How do you express that? Well, first of all, it's not a bad idea to do some journaling or just kind of constantly be reflecting on this in ways that you're also expressing it. If you're a private person and don't care to share your thoughts on this until you've got them fully understood, that's fine. Do it in a journal or a private blog or something. But if you're a little more daring, I'd encourage you to process this in public. Maybe on your Facebook page, maybe with friends, maybe in your work environment, maybe with others in your community. Start to share that story that's emerging as you're reflecting on these 5 P's: past, present, purpose, passion, and predicament. Share that. My view is that these can often be evolving, and it's good to see them as such because it helps us constantly reassess who we are in our world and how we might apply our public narrative to the world around us. And that's kind of the end game of public narrative, is how can we use our story, whether it's a story that we can share with others to help them understand certain predicaments that maybe need some changing, or if it's the story of our passion and need to do positive things in the world or fix something, whatever the case may be, or the story that we need to bring from the past into the present for more lessons. But the important thing to do is to recognize it as your unique story, to own it, to appreciate it, even the negative, and to reframe it, and if you possibly can, to express it publicly wherever you can. This can feel exceedingly uncomfortable to most of us. Most of us are not interested in bragging, and we might even be teased or frowned upon when we do. Try not to let that slow you down. That's sort of part of the process of learning to express oneself. You can take it further and start understanding your public narrative in relation to others' public narratives. That's really fun, and it will be another topic that I'll share with you in another video. For now, that's all I've got on public narrative. What I'd love is to hear what you've got on your public narrative. So if there's any way you'd be willing to share it, please do. You can find me and WetheP at our Facebook page, WetheP Inc. We'd love to see you there. And please do share what you are learning about yourself, what you know about yourself, and how you might apply that in the world around you. That's all for now. Look forward to talking to you again soon.